I recently did a video that I called The Magic Wand of Healing, and in it I touched on our difficulties on loving ourselves, being kind to ourselves, how we have so much hate and how we may feel like fundamentally flawed, especially if you had a lot of abuse and trauma throughout childhood and you ended up with PTSD, right? This deep ingrained sense that I am different, that I don't fit in, right? So this stirred things up a little bit for some of you. So I just thought, let's look at this a little bit deeper, right? Just being really open, not to overwhelm our system with this, because this are strong senses, right? Because when you're just trying to feel into what happens in your body when you are having thoughts that I am not good enough, that I am not worthy of love just yet, right? At least put the just yet on the end. And but even just now, just really feel into what happens in your body when you're thinking of yourself, your essence, your state of being, and what you're telling yourself about how other people perceive you, what other people think about you, right? So it's a kind of bit twisted because you're thinking what other people think about you might not actually be right, but let's just feel into that, right? So some of you it might feel quite tense. There might be some irritation, there might be some anxiety, you might tense up, or you just feel a deep sense of unworthiness with it and you just slump down. I used to have that slump sitting a lot, and that can show up in physical symptoms too, right? Because this is so ingrained for us. These habits started so young, and in adulthood we're almost like oblivious. Like I was completely oblivious that I did that and why I did that. Why I hated myself so much, why I criticized myself so much, why I wouldn't do the self-compassion stuff. When I first was introduced to that, it was almost like a disgust. I think there was a sense in my body coming up that this is like a no, and there's a rebel. I pushed it away, right? It just did not fit, and it didn't feel right. And it didn't feel right because all I could see about myself was flaws, all the things that were wrong about me, right? And to me, they were not thoughts or beliefs that came from people from childhood trauma. I thought they were facts. That's pretty much what I said to my therapist, right? There's truth that is who I am, right? This is just how I'm born. That's how deeply ingrained these kind of things can be for us, right? And we want to always bring it back to, or remind ourselves to how little we were, and reminding ourselves that a little 2-year-old or 4-year-old or however old you were, it's all throughout childhood. Actually, your brain was not even fully developed, right? Our brain doesn't finish developing till the late 20s or even beginning of 30s, right? So we didn't have a fully functioning brain to make sense of all the things that were happening and why people are criticizing and doing the things that they were doing, right? So the only way we could help ourselves or get ourselves through and survive all this kind of stuff is to believe and think there must be something truly wrong for me if there's adult figures out there not protecting me. And for some of us it wasn't just adult figures, right? It may have been at schools, the bullying, and maybe they were not that much, the age difference may have not been that big, and it doesn't matter. It was an external person, and in that moment they felt very empowering or stronger, right, than you. So we didn't have that. That it's at that age when you're little, you need an adult. You need adults for safety, for nurture, for a shelter, and all those things. You're fully dependent on them, right? So it makes sense that if they are not there for whatever reason, right, it doesn't matter why this really happened, but this is just to make sense of why did we come to dislike ourselves so much. Why does this sit so deep, right? It helped us to survive, right? This was the only way we could make sense of the whole thing, blaming ourselves, and then we took that on into adulthood, right? And it went kind of very pervasive and twisted in ways that even like we feel that we can't go into the staff room, for example, because we think that people don't like us there, I don't fit in there, and things like that, right? Or at school, wherever you are, whatever you do, we feel like in social settings that, or that the minute they find out who I truly am, then they would reject me, right? That those kind of things. It's so deep ingrained, like we think it's a fact. And I invite you to just gently look at that, put it in your hands and hold it gently out the front of you. It's like, yeah, it's there. It's not good, it's not bad, it's not right, it's not wrong, it's just there. That's what it is. That's what I have in my hands, right? Can I hold it gently there? And I just look, right? Like moving into my life now in this moment as an adult being. That level of hate or dislike or sense of unworthiness or feeling fundamentally flawed, how does it play out in my life now? Right? Even now, it is still protecting you, but at a different level, right? Because as a child, you have different needs now, right? You get your own food and shelter and things like that. You're not dependent on another adult human being in such a way. But hanging on to this is still a protective mechanism. Can you see that? Because if I hate myself, and you're now rejecting me or saying something mean to me or being really rude or criticizing me, it's like, it doesn't hurt so much because I already knew. I already put myself down first. I have such a low view of myself that whatever you say, it's not even going to come anywhere near that, right? I'm protecting myself. Not only that way, I also not go do things because I feel like they don't want me there. So even though I'm invited and things like that, I might not show up because I think that people may reject me, or when I show up they might say something rude. So it's a protection from the rejection. It's a protection from getting hurt again. And you see that? You're trying to protect yourself from getting hurt by other people. We're trying to protect ourselves from being disappointed or let down by people again. It is very twisted and entangled, and it's multi-layered for us, right? It's just so, when you had a lot of interpersonal trauma and people abused you for many, many years, these kind of things are so twisted and intertwined. It really takes a while to see that with clarity. Oh, this is why I am thinking the way I'm thinking about myself and people out there, or the world at large. This is why I am feeling that way, and this is why I'm acting in that way. This is why I'm behaving around people in that way. That is why I'm isolating, or this is why I'm feeling lonely, right? And all these kind of stories that we get ourselves into. But I just really want you to hold this out in your hands very gently for a while, and really acknowledge that it had a purpose, for you to do that. There was this protection, right, for you to survive. And now you can see clearly, okay, now in my life too, I'm still trying to protect myself from being hurt again. And just allow that to be. It's not right, it's not wrong, not good or bad, more healed, less healed, or whatever. Let's write it up. Just bring some gentleness just to that. Just seeing that. right? We just want to acknowledge it for a little bit, that this is there. And then when you're waking up in the morning, when you're getting yourself ready to listen, what kind of thoughts are coming up for you, right? Because for most of you, that's probably the very first few thoughts that pop into your head in the morning are very critical of yourself. I'm getting even emotional because I still remember what I used to do, right? And I can feel what is happening in your world, right? That, like, not even being able to go and wash your face and look in the mirror and smile at yourself, right? That not even being able to look at you. You're going to choose the clothes that feel the comfiest and softest, or whatever you like, and just because you feel like wearing this today. And just hold it gently for now. We're going to leave it at that for now. I think that's enough. Let's just bring some gentleness. Soft, gentle. Imagine there is like a soft feather in there. Or you know the dandelions, when they turn into the seeds and you can blow them, you have one in there, but you don't want to blow them. With that level of gentleness, can you hold it that gently?